Earlier today I was having an argument with somebody named Capricious Black Box about objective morality. It was sort of a rehash of an argument I've had with him before. Longtime viewers of my channel may remember that I had a little small debate with him about the nature of morality. I don't believe in objective morality because I believe that all morality is contextual. And certainly, morality couldn't be objective without some measure of consistency. And consistency is a lost virtue to our society. Some people would say that the left wing is obsessed with certain principles, certain virtues. Racism is bad, sexism is bad, violence is bad, yada yada yada. And then you take a guy like Dylann Roof. Dylann Roof, this shrimpy, out of his fucking mind little white guy, wanders into an all-black church where he is welcomed and invited to, I think it was like a Bible study type thing. And he walks in, armed to the teeth, and murders 9 people. He was sentenced recently to death. And I learned this because I'm subscribed to Secular Talk. I usually don't look up news on this sort of morbid shit because it's depressing. But so Secular Talk talks about how he has been sentenced to death, and not even Kyle Kulinski, the liberal lion that he is, could bring himself to outright negatively assess, for lack of a better phrase, this result. He even mentioned that it's been estimated that 4% of all people executed by the state are innocent of the crimes that they're executed for. Even though he understands completely that Dylann Roof intended to be killed for what he did, with the intention of being a martyr. Even though church members of the congregation that he attacked asked for him not to be killed, not to be executed. Kyle Kulinski was unwilling to outright say that he disagreed with this result. And his comment section was filled with self-professed progressives gleeful that this guy was being killed, and dozens of them lamented that he couldn't be tortured first. Of course, I'm horrified by the idea of a guy walking into a church, a universal symbol of sanctuary, and killing 9 people in cold blood. Mothers, fathers, family members. People who begged for mercy. And I'm horrified by the response to his sentence. Bloodthirsty progressives, reveling in their own hypocrisy. The death penalty is, whether you believe in objective morality or not, savagery. It's barbarism. Killing people as a punishment, especially for the crime of murder, is asinine and backwards. I should hasten to remind you that as an atheist, I am quite sure there is no afterlife and no hell for him to be so hastily sent to. It is its own philosophical quandary as to whether or not, in the light of there being absolutely no afterlife, whether it is still a greater punishment to be left to languish in prison or to be snuffed out of existence. I would argue the former is a greater punishment, I heard one commenter refer to prison as 3 free meals, a cot, a warm bed, and a safe place to sleep with the roof over his head, like it was a luxury. If you know absolutely anything about prison, I'm not sure there is a stupider way to assess the nature of prison than as a luxury. I would rather be homeless and penniless than in prison. And I think many ex-cons, who are oftentimes the kind of people who pull guns on the police, willing to kill or die before being sent back there, should be at least a little bit of evidence that prison is not nice. And that if you are so interested in punishing Dylann Roof for his crimes, then to send him to death row, where he'll very likely have his own cell and be very well protected from other inmates, where he will still languish for probably at least 10 years before being executed, that he's getting out of punishment. That it would be certainly a greater punishment to give him life in prison. But beyond that, the gleeful fantasizing about this guy's death, that they should bring back the firing squad and shoot him, that one commenter with dozens and dozens of upvotes was hoping that he would have one of those nice botched lethal injections and die slowly and painfully, or the people who wanted to, quote, give the family rocket launchers and have them blow him to pieces personally, the families of the victims. What is it that makes people lapse all grip on reality, all grip on any sort of morality, and any sort of consistency? People call themselves a liberal progressive, which of course is its own problem, as liberalism and progressivism have some overlaps but are ultimately incompatible in philosophy, who are also for the death penalty. Ultimately, a true liberal is an egalitarian, and an egalitarian applies his principles equally. If murder is wrong, murder is wrong. And make no mistake, the death penalty is state-sanctioned murder. It's not done in self-defense. A prisoner is neutralized and brought in chains to the lethal injection table. What it is to assuage the primitive side of our brains that cry out for justice but lack the sincerity and the honesty to admit that killing people is not justice. Even if they are a savage like Dylann Roof. So there you have it. The death penalty is not a greater punishment than life in prison. The death penalty is not moral. The death penalty is one of the last vestiges of barbarism that is still welcomed gleefully into polite, civilized society, or at least the one we pretend to have. And to pretend that anybody who thinks that this guy shouldn't be sent to prison shouldn't be sent to the fucking gas chamber, the electric chair, or the lethal injection table, or the firing squad, is, first of all, not only a fucking what do you call it? A lapse in judgment, that it's a ridiculous, inconsistent cuck behavior to think that this guy should not be put to death. But it is also somehow offering a victory to conservative propaganda is absurd. First of all, I'm not sure how many conservatives left in this country would give a fuck, because Dylann Roof was a racist who killed 9 black people. And though I have constantly lamented the absolute intrinsic racism, the dyed-in-the-wool fucking racism of progressive politics, those old conservatives we lamented before the rise of social justice warriors, those old racist conservatives, the same ones who think that Obama is a terrorist Muslim from Kenya, who's the Antichrist, they haven't gone anywhere. They're still around. Because we were lamenting them 4 fucking years ago, not 40 and not 400. So even that, Kyle Kulinski, was silly. And to worry about the worthless fake corporate news media having a field day over a public outcry against the death penalty, even, about Dylann Roof, or especially about Dylann Roof, is a demonstration to me that your principles are very easily cast aside. Liberal lion, maybe not after all. I don't believe this makes me courageous or cool or contrarian to say this. This is just the right thing to say. The death penalty should be abolished in its entirety. Thanks for watching.